It is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Dan is along for the ride as well. Welcome to the penultimate day of the regular season, my friend.
I know what that word means, so you didn't catch me off guard, even though you thought you probably did.
No. No, I know that Crespi education paying off. It's a great, great word, though. I think I learned it in like freshman year of high school. They were like, hang on to that one. It's going to be on the SAT.
I like that. Yeah, I don't think I knew what it meant until the Game of Thrones season came out. Like, this is the penultimate season. What does that mean? And then I Googled it.
Oh, okay. Good. Well,
second to last, people.
Yeah, there you go. And then the fun really starts on Friday. We can't wait. Still some stuff to be decided, but we know which 12 teams will be vying for the Commissioner's Trophy because the 12th one punched its ticket on Monday night.
The 3-2 pitch. Swinging a fly ball. Shallow center field. Coming on is Marsh. Still coming on. Makes the catch. The ball game is over. The drought is over after 11 seasons. The Philadelphia Phillies are going back to the postseason.
This is the plan, right? This is the goal to do this, but this is step one as well. And we all know that, but we're going to enjoy this. We're going to have fun. And I'm just so happy to do it as a Philadelphia Philly. I'm so excited to be here. I got chills thinking about it. This is for the city. This is for the fans. And I hope we get back and get there and play in front of them.
So Bryce Harper, super excited about that. What is the bigger story to come out of this? That the Phillies have ended their playoff drought, which had been the longest in the National League, or that Bryce Harper gets a shot to add to his legacy for his first meaningful October baseball since 2017?
I think it means much more to the city of Philadelphia and the whole Phillies organization. I love Bryce, and I can't wait to see him play in the postseason, but it's bigger than him, man. Like, I think about it in this perspective. My boy Rhys Hoskins never got to do that before, and I'm seeing him go crazy in the clubhouse. And I texted him, I said, dude, like, I'm so happy to see you happy. Like, it's awesome, man. And I've been the biggest supporter of this Phillies team. I believed in them last year. I believed in them all this year. And think about where they started, Chris. Think about Alec Boehm saying, I fucking hate this place. Like, that seems like a lifetime ago. Like, he's turned it on. This Philly team has got it going. And the more and more I think about it, in this wild card matchup, I think they're going to face the Cardinals most likely.
We don't know yet. I mean,
they can catch the Padres. But let's just say it doesn't matter who they play because they got Wheeler, Nola, Suarez going. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. And that's exactly what I envisioned when I talked about this team getting into the postseason. They have the frontline starters. They have the talent in the lineup. Like, you win in the postseason by hitting timely homers and pitching, and this team can do that. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can line both of those things up at the same time. But again, to answer your question, I think this just means so much more to the city of Philadelphia and the whole Phillies organization because they've been trying, dude. Like, they've been spending money on free agents. They've been going and they're aggressive in the trade market. Like, they've been doing things the right way, and now they're going to get a shot at the postseason. I'm happy for them.
So I think I picked them to make it as a wild card team earlier this year. I'd have to go back and look at my records, but I'm pretty sure I did. And then when the Harper injury happened and the managerial change happened, those happened in reverse. First, Girardi got fired, and then Harper got injured. I was like, no, flawed team. No, now without your best player. And yes, they're going to October. So I think it is a fantastic story. I know that we look at the city of Philadelphia and we're like, big city, major market. They spend enough money. They should be there every year. But when you haven't been there in over a decade and you have the longest playoff drought in the National League, you should celebrate it. It should mean something to you today, Philly fan. I'm happy. I love Bryce Harper. I always have. I haven't loved everything he's done, just like I'm sure he hasn't loved everything I've done and said. But at the same time, we need our best players in the sport on the biggest stage. And he had, even though his overall playoff numbers are okay, 801 OPS, 5 homers, he had one huge playoff series in 2014 against the Giants. And other than that, he really hasn't done it. It could only be 2 games and out. I don't know. But I'm excited he gets the shot. I think it's a huge story. I really do. Because I think if you ask most people, has Bryce Harper lived up to expectations? Because the Nationals won in the whole thing, shortly after he left, people would say, no, I think it's unfair, but I think that might be the common theme. No,
I mean, I wouldn't agree with them. Maybe people would say that, but
I don't agree with them either.
Yeah, this is why Philly brought Bryce over to get to the postseason, and this is why Bryce went to Philadelphia. I know it was a massive contract, long, but he wanted to be somewhere where they can build and get to the playoffs year in and year out. He thought he had a good chance to do that in Philadelphia. It hadn't worked out the first couple of years, but now here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm equally as excited to see Bryce in the postseason too. I mean, he is one of our stars, a top 5 star in the game. And people forget that, Chris. I'm happy they're going to get reminded of that because we are going to see him on the big stage. And I do think he shows up. I think that he's going to, be a catalyst for this team. And this guy could single-handedly win you a 3-game series. If the pitching comes in and Bryce's bat gets hot, like he could win you a series on his own.
Yep. I'm excited about that. By the way, I just had to pop up and go somewhere. My computer wasn't plugged in. I was about to lose your connection. So good job. Way to carry it. All right. So Philly's in. That means, unfortunately, your preseason World Series champion, the Milwaukee Brewers, are out. Where, in your opinion, does this team go from here?
Man, it's interesting because if you look at their roster, you got the pitching. This is what I liked. You got the starters locked up for 2 more years. All these guys are like on a very similar timeline with their service time. So Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, free agents in 2025. So you have 2 more years of these guys. And then you kind of like look at the offense. I've been calling for an offensive upgrade all year long. It didn't really happen. And by some of the numbers, like they're pretty good. Like their OPS plus is there. They're above average there, but they're really like a 3 true outcome team. If you go on the team stats page, they're going to be like top 3 in walks, top 3 in strikeouts, top 3 in homers. And I just feel like they weren't able to translate that into wins. They needed some more like bat to ball people to supplement that lineup. And I don't know if they're going to get that. I don't know if that's like what they want to do in the offseason. I don't know if they're going to address that at all, but it seems to me like that's kind of where they need to go. Like address some of the bullpen. That obviously was a big thing. You trade Hader. They blew a bunch of saves in the second half. It looked immediately like, hey, maybe they made the right decision, but we know what Hader's been doing in September and what happened to them at the end of September. So I think they'll have to address that. That was a common theme when, like Yelly had this massive, presser after, not a massive presser, but he talked for, a good like 6-7 minutes there. And I listened to the whole thing. And that was something he said that definitely affected the clubhouse. He said it was an easy thing to point to, but, obviously that affected it. I think that they just have to go back to the drawing board. I don't want to say this. I think it's a little bit disrespectful. Stop thinking you're smarter than everybody else. Like go get some guys, like go get some brand name guys and put them on that team. That's what I really think the Brewers need to do. Go get a proven bat to help you out. Because I think you're going to be able to do enough on the pitching side of the ball if you address the bullpen. But I just continue to say you need another bat. Regardless of what your OPS plus says, you need more length in there. You can't be so reliant on a 3-run homer all the time. And that's what it seemed like. It always seemed like that's what they were waiting for. And like, that's a stressful way to play baseball and for us fans too, to watch the damn thing.
Well, they're easily one of the most disappointing teams in baseball. Easily, in part because it's such a lousy division. I mean, outside of the Cardinals, you're talking about 3 of the probably 6 to 7 worst teams in baseball. Probably something like that. They should have had a wild card spot. Yes. I have no idea what has transpired. I think, yes. Yeah. I watched Yelich's, Yelich holding court in front of his locker, and I thought he was great. I thought he was real. I thought he was honest. He talked a lot about his own struggles and having to deal with stuff eventually. But as I look at this squad, they only have $34 million guaranteed next year, and 26 of that is to Yelich, by the way. But they probably have the longest list of really good arbitration-eligible players, okay? It starts with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff at the top of that rotation, but it's Adames, Tellez, Renfroe, Urias, Suter, Lauer, Hauser. All those guys are arbitration-eligible. What that means, in my opinion, is there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking. I think they're going to trade all over the place. I think they're going to get rid of a lot of veteran guys who are starting to make some money. I don't know which direction.
Like why? Like why does like why? What for? What
you know
reason?
What? This
These guys
hasn't
are good
worked.
players.
They are good players, but at the beginning of the year, what did we say about this team? It's great that they've made the playoffs 4 straight years. It's unprecedented in this franchise's history. But now it's not just a cute little story anymore. How do you make that next step? And you and I both thought at the trade deadline they were going to bring in people. And what they do, they got rid of the guy who's been the best closer, arguably, in baseball over the last 3 years. So I think that they're going to get rid of more guys. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with it, but I really think that they're going to get rid of some guys. I do.
If they trade any more pitching, I'm going to be pissed off. Okay. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but again, I'll say it. Bring in some name talent. Like, don't try to outsmart people and say, oh, we got this guy who, if we just do this, he can. No, go get someone that's proven in the big leagues that you know is going to show up and put numbers. And you might have to spend a little bit more, but you know what? You're right, Chris. It's not a cute little story anymore. And they don't see it that way. Like, this team they have the ingredients, right? Like they have everything you need to have to be a good postseason team, but then you need a little bit of fire. You got to be able to cook, baby.
Yeah, they're really disappointing. They are. And I know they're disappointed. I mean, this is not us taking shots at them. I think that if you were to put David Stearns and Craig Counsell and the Antanassios in front of a microphone today and hear them out, I think they'd all be like, we're shocked we're not going to the party. Shocked and disappointed. And they should be. And hopefully at this time next year, we'll talk about them in a different light. I really hope so, because they're a fun organization to hang around with. They've got good dudes on that team. I'm sad for them. I'm sad for them and a little disappointed.
Are you sad for me?
All right. Yeah, no, you had a great year last year. And we won't ever forget that, to be honest with you. We won't ever
people
forget
already
that.
have.
No. I think once a champion, always a champion in the prediction game. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Plouffe, you and I have talked about this an awful lot. And I'm happy that a lot of athletes in particular have kind of taken center stage on this. Austin Meadows in our sport. We've seen a guy like Kevin Love in the NBA talk about how when things weren't going right for them between the ears, that they sought out help and they sought out therapy. And they didn't, not only did they seek it out, they wanted to bring it to the forefront to let people know that it is okay, that if you're struggling with something in your life, whether you're a professional athlete or just a professional or just a kid who's going through some stuff, to raise your hand and say, I need to talk to a therapist is not only okay, it's encouraged. It really is. And so BetterHelp is a place that can assist you. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, it's a great option. It is convenient. It is accessible. It is affordable. It is entirely online. So what's going to happen is you'll get matched up with a therapist after filling out a very brief survey. If you try it out and the match doesn't work, you can switch therapists at any time. There's no hard feelings whatsoever on their end. BetterHelp.com/baseball today. That's the code word you're going to use. You're going to get 10% off of your first month. I have told you countless times, I am personally a huge believer in therapy. I started it as a little kid in the 70s. I've gone on and off throughout my adult life. I feel great about it. And when I raise my hand and say, I'm having some issues, I need somebody else to bounce some ideas off of, I see that as a sign of strength. That is not a sign of weakness, people. Once again, it is betterhelp.com/baseball today. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball today. You'll get 10% off of your first month. We continue on with our show. Brewers are out. White Sox have been out for a while. And now Tony La Russa is out. He is dealing with some physical ailments, and that prevented him from being in the dugout over the last 6 weeks or so. Now the Hall of Famer has said that he has retired because of health issues. He did meet with the media yesterday. His team came and joined him, which I thought was very nice. And the guy who is number 2 all-time in baseball history on the managerial's win list said he just didn't do enough.
I understand the ultimate responsibility for each minus this season belongs to the manager. That's accurate because there's always something else you can do. I was hired to provide positive difference-making leadership and support. Our record this year is proof I did not do my job.
Trevi, did the White Sox hiring of Russa truly hold them back, or is that an excuse?
99% of me says it doesn't really matter. Then there is the 1% that, and I've changed my tune on this, Chris. I've said that on the show before. I think there are some managers that would have been much better for the job, that would have come with some fire and some spring in their step every single day, and that kind of rubs off on the team. But ultimately, this is on the players in the clubhouse, dude. I don't think it's on the manager. Like, what did we say about the White Sox team all year? Sure, they've been injured, but it was like a lack of effort almost. When people would go watch them play, they would say, like, it just didn't seem like there was fire. Lance Lynn said something that I thought was really impactful. He said it felt like we were 6 games back all year long. That is not what you want to feel like. 6 games back is kind of like at that threshold of an insurmountable lead. So, an insurmountable lead. So if you were thinking that way the whole year, you're like, are we really even in it? There wasn't any. I mean, they got to even with Cleveland, and then Cleveland just ran away with it. So I guess you have to give some credit to Cleveland in that regard, but I think it's on the guys in the clubhouse. If you're telling me there's so many leaders in that clubhouse, so many veteran players who I respect and I know can get the job done, but for some reason it just didn't gel, and they just, as Cueto said, was there a fire ever? Like, they didn't have one.
But isn't that a little bit on the manager? I mean,
not.
Isn't that
what's the
part of the
manager's
managerial job?
It is, but what's the manager supposed to do? Run in the clubhouse and do a dance every day? Like, come on, man. Like, you're a professional athlete. You have to pick that up yourself. There was never a time where I thought, hey, the manager came in and fired us up. Like, Gardy would yell at us once or twice every single year, and that was his way to do it. But, like, other than that, the 160 other games, like, you got to get yourself ready, man.
Okay, but hold on, let me ask you this. Did you always play hard, meaning your teams? Did you always feel like you gave the best effort most of the time?
Yes.
Okay. If you ever went the wrong direction, I think Gardy would have stepped in and been like, guys, if we lose and we gave it our best effort, we can all live with that. But if we lose and we're not, that's a problem. Don't you remember earlier this season, there was a report Russa came out and said it. We've told guys not to bust their ass down the line because of soft tissue injuries. What manager has ever said that? Ever?
Chris, I'm trying not to bash Russa here, okay? I'm really trying not to, but you know how I really feel. I was never a fan of the hire. Lucas Giolito came on and talked to you and kind of convinced us the other way, but we were never a fan of this. I thought there should have been a younger Latin dude. That's what I thought. And they just didn't do that. So I don't know. Part of me says, yeah, like, obviously I think he did hold them back a little bit, but more so it's on the players, dude. It's always on the players. You need to be able to motivate yourself, motivate your teammates, dude. And that just didn't happen. And I don't know why. And I think maybe in the offseason, we'll talk to Lucas or some other guys and maybe get more of a picture, but they had all the talent in the world and they just didn't play right. And they got injured. I get that, but everyone deals with injuries. It was that lack of fire. Lance Lynn saying we felt like we were 6 games behind the entire year is so telling to me.
Yeah, it is. I've never been a big Russa fan. I've always respected him in terms of what he's accomplished. I just never have been. First of all, though, I wish him well. I want to see people be healthy and live as long and productive life as you can. I didn't get the hire either. I mean, I did get it. When the boss of the company comes down and says, I want that guy, what's Rick Hahn supposed to do? I think we ought to go with somebody younger. No,
maybe
like the boss. No, come on,
bro. I mean, what are you in the position for if you can't tell the guy that hired you to make decisions, hey, I think this might be a bad decision? I mean, come on, then maybe you're not suited for that job.
Well, maybe you haven't hung around enough billionaires to know.
Possibly.
They don't like to be told what to do. With as much as I, will criticize the public words about the soft tissue injuries and the couple of times he intentionally walked guys after his pitcher was ahead on 1-2, this is more on the players. There's not the right chemistry. When you said there's a lot of leaders in that clubhouse, are there? I don't know.
Veterans, I meant veterans.
There are veterans, but we don't know if they're
difference.
leaders, and there is a huge, huge difference. because once La Russa was gone and Miguel Cairo came in, and Lucas actually said there was a difference. There was a difference in the way that he leads and communicates than Tony La Russa. And they got close to Cleveland. And then Cleveland came in and punched him in the nose. The youngest team in Major League Baseball. And Tony La Russa wasn't in the dugout then. I don't know if Miguel Cairo's the answer, but I'll tell you this. If those players on the White Sox who knew that so much was expected of them, they fought all the way back to get even with the youngest team in baseball, and in their crib, they got laid out.
Oh, God.
Hey, who's that on? Who's that
the
on?
Players.
After Elvis Andrus said, don't worry, they're going to crumble. Who crumbled? The veteran team of the White Sox. And here's the weird thing, that if you look at that club, there aren't that many players you wouldn't want back.
I know. This is a very good team, Chris. The roster looks great. Abreu is going to be a big decision for them because I think he is a leader, and I think he needs to be back. Like, he is the biggest threat you have in that lineup day in and day out, and he's going to be a free agent, and he's signed back with them before.
Yes. So
we'll see, man.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. That is a huge personnel decision. But we'll see. We'll see. They were supposed to be this power hitting team. You know who leads them in homers? Andrew Vaughn's got 17.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah. Dude. Well, did you answer the question? Is La Russa to blame?
I think he's part of the blame, but I put it more on the players than I do Tony La Russa.
We're on the same page then.
I think Rick Vaughn and Kenny Williams have some serious soul searching to do in the offseason. You know, I don't know if I were a White Sox fan if I would trust their decision making. That's the problem here. I don't know.
It's like, where do they go? What are they going to do? Because you just said the roster looks pretty good. I mean, they have some holes to fill, sure, but like, is it just the manager?
No, I mean, Yasmani Grandal, that deal stinks. I don't know what happened. He forgot how to hit. They paid him $72 million to go be bleh.
They need to get everybody on a hydration schedule. The soft tissue stuff was like, there's so many things that happened this year. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's the soft tissue stuff it's dangerous. And that does happen from time to time. It's not completely on the players or the training staff, but it's something that they have to focus on in the offseason as well. Like, you have to have, if you have a roster that looks so good, but you can't put it on the field because they're hurt, then what good is that roster? So you have to keep people on the field. I think that's probably the biggest thing they're going to have to do is keep our guys healthy. It's not easy. There's no easy fix to that, but it's an enigma, man. Like, I don't know. Both these teams, the freaking Brewers and the White Sox, come on.
I can tell you this, the White Sox 30 for 30 in about 20 years is going to be really interesting.
I have a question for you quick.
Yes.
Would you rather be, for the next 2 years, would you rather be a Brewers fan or a White Sox fan?
I think I have more faith in the Brewers brass than I do the White Sox. I think they're in equally shitty divisions, though.
Yeah.
Jays win, Mariners lose, so Toronto locks up the top wild card spot. How important is it for them to be the 4 seed and play up in the 6, as the kids like to say?
I don't know how important it is. I think obviously you want to play at home, and in a short 3-game series like that, it means something. I don't think any team is scared to go into any place and play. I really don't believe that. I don't think Houston used to be that place. You just didn't want to go into Houston and play ball. And we kind of found out why. But if you ask anybody around the league, you know what? Who cares where we're playing? Like, we still got to play the game. And I think it's important for the city of Toronto to host those games. Like, I feel for teams like the Phillies and the Mariners.
Yeah, totally.
Who, you break this postseason drought, you might not even get a home game. So I think it means most to the fans. The players are like, you'd want to play at home in front of your fans because you want to see the joy in their faces, and that would give you a little extra boost in testosterone and endorphins and all that great stuff. But I don't think anyone's scared to go anywhere now. So as on the player side of it,
yeah, this is the sport where it feels like home field advantage in the playoffs is the least advantageous, right? In the NBA, the refs you got fans right on top of the refs all the time. In the NFL, you just way rather play at home, even though last year there were.
Well, they can be a part of your game plan. Like the loudness of a stadium can affect the game.
Totally. And the Blue Jays, good home team, but not the best. 4th most wins in the American League. Heck, Tampa had 5 more home wins than they did. So, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I like it because I like the atmosphere up there. Although I really wanted to see Seattle in the playoffs hosting.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it sucks, is for these fan bases.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Hey, listen, go be better. Go be better. Speaking of Seattle, 27 years ago today, gave us one of the great playoff blow-ups of all time. Danny, hold up on rolling this tape because I want to roll this sample, the whole thing. Yankees take a 2-0 divisional series lead over the Mariners. 15-inning win. Jim Leyritz, opposite field home run against Tim Belcher. Here's the call, and then Belcher down in the bowels of old Yankee Stadium letting loose.
Fly ball, right field. Maybe. It could be. Back at the wall. Goodbye, home run. The Yankees win.
Cameras off. Motherfuckers. What fucking kind of bullshit is that? Yeah, get the motherfuckers off or I'll break every damn one of them. You sucking motherfuckers. All of you, all the fucking same. Why the fuck these guys down here now? They're allowed to stand there. Bullshit.
Did you say they're allowed to stand there?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, now, if you're just audio only today, please check out our YouTube channel. And just if you just want to fast forward and just watch this one part, just do it. Because if you've never seen it, it is... I was working in Reno, Nevada when that happened. And I remember
love your Reno
asking
stories.
I remember asking our news director, am I allowed to run that with all the beeps? Because that one, the funniest thing is they beeped out the first motherfuckers, but then they left the rest of them in.
Dude, the whole time I'm watching that video, I'm like, I hope he falls because he's got the spikes on the cement. I just wanted to see him slip and fall because that would have made it even funnier. But this is like, you'll talk to coaches, and one thing they'll always say is, I don't know how you guys play in this day and age with cameras everywhere. Everybody's got a camera on. He's like, we never would have survived. This is an example of that. Think about how many blow-ups have happened that weren't caught on camera. This one just happened to be kind of a soft pitcher thing going on there. Position player would never do that.
Oh, Belcher was a hothead, man. You could
I would have taken that pitch deep too. Hey, don't fucking leave that thing over the middle of the plate, dude. I would have went third deck on that thing.
Oh, it was hilarious. Could you imagine if that had happened today, though? With that video? Look out.
Got to mind your P's and Q's now. You know what? It's such a fun dynamic between the media and players. Like, you know, sometimes you just love them because like, hey, you're doing good. And then when you're doing bad and they're asking you pointed questions, you're like, you internalize it, especially me. You know how I am, Chris. And you get mad at them, but they're just doing their job at the end of the day.
That's it. You know, and then at the end, what are they doing here? They're allowed to be here. Bullshit.
Well, that's what he said. They're allowed to stand here.
He wasn't. They are allowed to stand there. So it was great. What do you have coming up on John Boy Media?
Oh, baby. We had a Monday recap episode yesterday. Today, we're going to do our final all JM team for Talking Baseball. So it'll be the final awards. We'll see if anybody gets a silver daisy, which is cool. And then I think like we're filming a playoff preview episode on Thursday. Like we're here, man. We made it.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. I know you're a busy man. What you got?
Yeah, I'm tripling up today. So after this, I'm taping with our John Boy Media brethren, Ian Happ, getting a feeling of how their season finished up. And he's going to give us a playoff preview from a player perspective. He'll be able to break that down for us pretty well. And also, hopefully you guys have enjoyed so far the Chris Rose Football Show with CJ Uzama. We will be taping our 3rd episode today, and that'll be coming out later this week. So that is what's happening. Busy times around here, my friend. For one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rowe, and my man, Trevor Plouffe, I'm Chris Rose. We will see you hump day on Baseball Today.